Okay, in this video I want to show you how to import various formats of data. You're not always going to be using Word Tracker perhaps, or you're not always going to be using Nichebot. You might be using some other tool that returns the data in a different format. So we need to be able to set up what we call an import profile to tell KRA what the structure of the data is that we want to import. Don't worry, it sounds complicated, but it really isn't. To give you an example, here is some data that I collected, and the information is given as keyword, count, competition, KEI, and ratio. Now, for the purpose of this example, I'm going to assume that I'm not interested in KEI, because you can ignore some of these columns if you want to. You might want to say, okay, I don't want this ratio column, and then set it up to ignore it. Let's go over to KRA and let's create a new keyword project, and we'll call this one Cellulite. That's what the data is about. Click on the Import Data tab and click on the Other Formats tab. Now, there aren't any profiles there yet. We want to create one. Now, to create one, we need to keep an eye on this information here. We've got the column headers just there. So it's click onto the Create New Profile Import Profile. Click on the Create New Import Profile tab here, and then we click on the Add button. Now we're going to call this some name so that you'll be able to find it in the future, because once you've set up these profiles you can use the same profile over and over again to import data from that source. Let's just call it my source for the sake of it. And the data, if we look at it, is tab delimited. Data is usually tab delimited or comma delimited, sometimes semicolon delimited. In this case it's tab delimited. We're going to set the default options profile. Now basically what this does is it tells KRA whenever you import data using the my source import profile, then apply this options profile. Now don't let that confuse you. The options profile is basically which columns of data KRA is going to show you over on this screen here. As you can see, it's got keyword column, count column, 24-hour column, competing column, and if we go across, ratio column as well. Okay, those are set up in one of the options, but that's in another video, so let's not worry about it for now. If this is the data, these are the columns we want to set up. So let me just move that out of the way for the moment. The first one was keyword, the second one was the count, the third one was the competition, the fourth one is the KEI. Remember, we're going to set that to ignore that in a minute. And the fifth one, last one, is ratio. Let me just save that for a second. Now, you'll notice here that each of these drop down boxes that specify the data has a large number of different data types that you can choose. These are selected from the usual keyword research sources, so you should be able to find something that you want. If you're doing pay-per-click data, then you've got these bids here. You can record or import up to 15 different bids, bid prices, and so on. So you need to look through those columns to try and match up with your data. Now if I go back to my data for a minute, you'll see that the order, keyword, count, competition, KEI, and ratio. Okay, let's just have a look at this KEI. I said I was, just for the sake of demonstrating, I wanted to ignore KEI. I don't want to import the data that's in that column, and quite often you'll have data where there's a column that you don't want to import. Now all you simply do in that case is select ignore for that column and click on save. Right, if we go back to the import data tab, remember we've got our keyword database open for Cellulite or created. There's nothing in there yet. We select the my source as the import profile, and I've actually already loaded the data in there, but let me just show you how I did that. Just delete this first. Okay, you can paste directly into this box. If you've copied the data from somewhere, you can paste it directly in, or if you've got it saved as a text file, then just click load file, find the file that you're interested in, and there is your data imported in. Now, before you can add that to the project, you have to get rid of this column, this row if it exists. Basically, if you have the column headers at the top, you need to delete it. There. We're now ready to import, so click the Add to Project. You'll notice that that bar went across the bottom, this progress bar, finished, and then if we go back to our keyword database tab, you'll see all of our data has been imported. Now, we did import ratio and competition, and these columns are blank. The reason for that is that in our original data, these columns were blank as well. They were left as little dashes. So it has imported all the information that was in that project in that database file. So if you need to import different formats of data, you can do that with this other formats import profile system.